Friends, colleagues, and guests, it is my pleasure and honor to introduce and welcome President Mary Papazian.
Thank you, Michael, for your insightful remarks, your gracious introduction, and your steadfast commitment to San Jose State. One more round of applause. Good afternoon. As you've heard, I'm Mary Papazian, and Michael got it right, Papazian. And I'm thrilled to welcome you to the 2016 President's Fall Welcome Address. I was appointed to serve as your president on January 27th, 212 days ago. That's a long time. But I do want to say I was only one of 5 women appointed president in the CSU, and I think that is something to celebrate. And I'm especially proud to be the 3rd woman to lead San Jose State in its 159-year history. I've waited more than 30 weeks for the opportunity officially to greet you as we begin our grand journey together. It was a long wait, but it was worth the wait. I am proud to be a Spartan. And Reggie likes that. As you know, San Jose State University sits in the heart of America's 10th largest city. Let me begin by welcoming and thanking our community partners who have joined us today, and they're scattered throughout the audience. Just as we are part of the city and community, you are a part of the Spartan family. Thank you for joining with us here today. And speaking of family, I'd like to introduce to you my husband, Dennis. Dennis, you can stand up and wave. He's never too shy. I can't wait for you to get to know Dennis. He is an emeritus faculty member from the University of Michigan, Dearborn, where he had a long career teaching and studying Russia and Eastern European history, as well as the Caucasus. I'm thinking he might be open to giving a talk or two, but I warn you, his stories are legendary. Dennis and I have 2 wonderful daughters. Our oldest, Ani, graduated from college in Boston a year ago and is working now as a lab manager at Mass General Hospital. She's actually just finished the MCATs. She took them all day today and just made it through. And Marie, our youngest, is en route to the East Coast preparing for her senior year of high school. Dennis and I look forward to introducing you to them at a later date. Also joining us today are our niece, Louise Yardumian, and her husband, Haig, right here in the front, who have stopped by on a visit en route from Taiwan, where they visited their granddaughter and her parents before returning home to Florida. Welcome, Haig and Louise. It's great to have you here. So here we are, and we begin our journey together and a new academic year filled with hope. Hope for a new beginning. In these next few minutes, I want to share just a sense of who I am and what led me to San Jose State University, let you know what I've heard in my initial conversations, and offer a few thoughts about where we might be headed. Some of you may wonder why an English literature professor and one who studies the early modern period, that's Donne and Milton, and who had spent her entire academic career in the Eastern time zone, was intrigued by the opportunity to lead a campus on the other coast. The answer is partly personal. For me, this is a homecoming of sorts. I'm a 3rd-generation Californian. My maternal grandparents both were born in Fresno before relocating to Los Angeles as small children. In fact, my grandfather's family was among the earliest Armenian families to arrive in Southern California in 1905. That's also where my grandparents met and later married in the early 1930s. And my parents, Marilyn and Hagop, also met in Southern California as students at UCLA. They settled in the San Fernando Valley, where my three brothers and I were raised. And I just want to pause for a confession. I was worried that talking about my Southern California roots might elicit some boos from our Giants fans, but thank you for being a pretty friendly audience. I appreciate it. And my dad was born in Athens, Greece, but he doesn't mind that I'm a Spartan. My mom and dad were married for 59 years. It would have been 60 in just about a week. They were deeply involved in Armenian culture, helping establish the Armenian Genocide Memorial in Southern California, among other projects, not too many miles from where we were raised. I later followed my parents' footsteps, attending UCLA and ultimately earning undergraduate and graduate degrees there before pursuing an academic career. My parents were overjoyed to learn that I was coming to San Jose State. They felt, and I felt, as if I were coming home. But my interest was based on more than that. I was also attracted by this university's remarkable legacy. And you know much of this story. We were the first public university in the West. We were the founding campus of the California State University, the largest public comprehensive university in the world. We are Silicon Valley's public university. We are also one of America's most diverse universities. We have 250,000 living alumni, and 2/3 of them live right here in the Bay Area. Spartans influence life locally and globally in ways seen and unseen. And our potential when we work together seems limitless. We attract students, faculty, and staff who are smart, resourceful, and uncommonly determined. So you bet I wanted to be here, and I am truly honored to be your 30th president. You're happy, right? As we enter our 160th year, where do we stand? And for what do we stand? I've spent a good deal of my time this summer in conversations with campus colleagues and community partners. I like to talk, as you can see, but I love to listen. And here's some of what I've heard so far. My arrival pretty much coincided with weekly summer orientation sessions for new students and their families. The families were great. I found myself leading them in SJSU chants. I don't know what they thought of that, but I think I'm primed for football season. So go Spartans! And more to the point, I was reminded of the profound responsibility that comes with serving students who in many cases will be the first in their families to earn college degrees. This is central to our mission, and this sets us apart. And speaking of serving students, let me take a moment to thank the staff, and particularly our student RAs, who have worked so hard to help the 800+ students impacted by the delayed opening of Campus Village 2. They have done such a great job that the students wonder if they even want to leave the bricks. They get around. And speaking of our staff, many have expressed to me heartfelt pride in the work they do. I know, and you surely know, that the financial rewards are greater in high tech than in higher ed. Yet despite that, you've chosen this work, and it matters. You have every reason to be proud. Our African American and Chicano Latino student success task forces, for example, are striving to eliminate achievement gaps among underrepresented minority students. This is complex, critical work, and it is central to our mission. I've heard concerns from some staff about just how much it is valued and whether they will have a seat at the table as we plan and implement broader student success initiatives. Let me be clear, their work is vital. The people doing the work are valued, and there will be seats at the table. It will take all of us to achieve this fundamental goal. I've been in touch with members of our faculty too, and I've been impressed and amazed by their stories. The impact of our academic expertise is enormous, stretching well beyond our campus borders. Dennis, Marie, and I visited Moss Landing Marine Labs shortly before their 50th anniversary celebration earlier this month. The faculty there are educating and mentoring the next generation of marine scientists while doing cutting-edge research aimed at preserving coastal and marine health. Closer to home, our faculty are forging deep connections with their students and the wider community. I was introduced recently to an array of academic and community partnerships, so many, in fact, that my head was swimming. I'm sorry for these marine metaphors, but they seem to come to mind right now. This is truly impressive work, and we need to continue to nurture and support these academic community partnerships. Some faculty, in fact, have told me that they'd love to see the university writ large as engaged with the community as they are. We're not quite there yet, but we're on our way. And I say that with confidence because community leaders have told me so. They truly sense that our doors, our minds, and our hearts are open to them. They are thrilled to see San Jose State stepping up to revitalize the arts and the downtown corridor by agreeing to operate the Hammer Theater Center for the next 3 years. They want our help seeking solutions to regional housing and transportation woes, and they know that we are essential to the ongoing national dialogue about diversity, inclusion, and gender equity. Community leaders are concerned about student housing and food insecurity, and I've been heartened by their desire to help. We boldly promise that San Jose State University powers Silicon Valley, and that what powers us changes our world. It's true. Business leaders tell me they value and prefer to hire our graduates, but you knew that long before I arrived. And most of you know that Silicon Valley needs more of our graduates. There's demand for talent in STEM or STEAM, obviously, but also in healthcare, the arts, public and social services, education, finance, and business. No university is better positioned to meet that demand than San Jose State University. I've also heard real anxieties tied to our astronomically high housing costs, among the highest anywhere. I needn't tell you how much this impacts faculty, staff, and students. There aren't any magic answers, but I can promise that we will work with anyone interested in attacking the problem. And speaking of attacking a problem, while we're proud to be the founding CSU campus and the West's first public university, our age is showing. Our last new academic space, the engineering building next door, opened almost 30 years ago. Many older buildings have outlived their useful lives. And let's face it, some of our science labs belong in a science museum. There is some progress. We're sitting in a beautifully renovated student union. A beautiful student wellness center opened last year. Yoshida Hall is newly renovated. And this is really going to happen, Dudley Moorhead Hall will finally get air conditioning. As I mentioned earlier, a new residential tower on campus will open soon. Planning is underway for a new student recreation and aquatic center, and we've begun renovating the South Campus. But best of all, plans are in the works for a new interdisciplinary building for science and innovation. It's about time, and we must make this happen. While we are making progress, options for meeting current or future capital needs are very limited. In the long term, the current model is unsustainable. I discussed this with our legislative delegation during a visit to Sacramento earlier this month. We can get there, but it will take creative partnerships and new ways of thinking. And new ways of thinking are taking place, certainly, in our system, and they will take place here on campus. Speaking of new thinking, we all can be proud of the comprehensive student success plan rolling out this year. This is leading-edge work. It addresses critical steps that we must take to help students succeed at every step in their journey. Improving their readiness for college, hiring tenure-track faculty, and adding class sections in traditional bottleneck courses, increasing advising support, and focusing on ways to better connect, engage, and retain students. We are already seeing early indicators that we are on the right track. When pre-semester course registration closed on Sunday night, 55% of first-year students had registered for 14 or more units. A year ago, barely 1/3 of first-year students did so. Trust me, this is a huge deal. Let's give a big, big shout out to our student affairs and academic affairs teams for their great work. A big applause. With 500 new class sections being added this academic year to address bottlenecks and 68 new tenure-track faculty members joining us, we intend to help students get the classes they need to shorten their time to graduation. And we are fully committed to meeting or exceeding, I prefer exceeding, Provost Feinstein, our new 4- and 6-year graduation targets, and we'll be talking a lot more about these efforts this year. But we can't succeed by going it alone. We'll need to collaborate internally and externally. Increasing philanthropic support is also vital. And on that front, I have great news to share today. In the last fiscal year, San Jose State University received in excess of $44.6 million in private gifts and gift commitments. That is the second best year for private philanthropy in San Jose State's 159-year history. Congratulations. You need a great advancement team to do that, but philanthropy is a collective enterprise. Faculty, staff, students, we all play a part. Next week, we officially will dedicate this beautiful building as the Ramiro and Lupe Diaz-Compian Student Union. That means you all have to show up. Earlier this year, we celebrated a $15 million gift commitment from Mrs. Compian, matching the largest single gift ever received at San Jose State. And it's dedicated to student success. Philanthropy is also an essential ingredient in ensuring student success and excellence in all areas. Our nationally renowned Steinbeck Center was the beneficiary of a $4.8 million gift from the estate of former San Jose State English professor Martha Helsley Cox. That's nice. Do we have Steinbeck fans in the audience here? We got a few, yes. And a $5 million gift commitment from Rich and Cindy Thawley is enabling us to build a new golf practice facility. We are also rebuilding important relationships. 3 weeks ago, we announced the reinstatement of men's track and field. The team will resume competition in early 2019 during the 50th anniversary year of San Jose State's 1969 Outdoor National Track and Field Championship. The announcement ceremony gave me the opportunity to spend time with many of the Spartans who created San Jose State's Speed City legacy. They were filled with pride at the opportunity to reunite with their alma mater and each other. Many hadn't been back to campus for years. I was reminded then, and during conversations with many community leaders, of the role Spartans have played in the struggle for human rights, social justice, racial and gender equity. That fight, as we know, continues today. And as a campus community, we have an important role to play in keeping that dialogue going. A campus with the legacy and promise of San Jose State University also needs and deserves stability. We are a community of dedicated students, a committed and gifted faculty, an amazing staff, and a strong leadership team. We can only succeed by working together. None of us can do it alone. This fall, we welcome more than 9,000 new Spartans, 3,300 first-year students, 4,000 transfer students, and 2,000 graduate students. We have welcomed 68 new tenure-track faculty, and we intend to recruit another 63 this year. And we've welcomed staff members at all levels and all over campus. Professor Kimbrough introduced the cabinet earlier, but I'd like personally to welcome a few of our newest leaders. Hector Pereira Jr. was elected last spring as this year's Associated Students President. Leading AS is a big job. Hector, you can stand up for a moment. Let him see you. I'll rely on Hector for input and insights throughout the year. Hector, we're in this together, and I'm looking forward to our journey. Tracy Elliott is our new library dean, leading one of the most important academic assets and examples of city-university collaboration. Charlie Fass is our new Vice President for Administration and Finance and Chief Financial Officer. Charlie is a seasoned leader with strong community connections and expertise in capital planning and finance, key priorities for us. And Kathy Wong Lau joined us late last month as San Jose State's first Chief Diversity Officer. She is a national expert on issues of diversity, inclusion, and gender equity, and there are many institutions that wish they could claim her as theirs. Tracy, Charlie, and Kathy join a committed and talented group of academic and administrative leaders. May I ask that all of our deans and president's cabinet members please stand briefly for a round of applause. Now I have a little surprise today. He doesn't know I'm going to say this, but today, I was told, is Provost Andy Feinstein's birthday. I don't know which one, but he says he's forever young. Happy birthday, Andy. What do you think? Should we sing him happy birthday? All right. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Andy. Happy birthday to you. I think I'm going to pay for it, but I know the provost appreciates it. Given the time of day, I'm not sure how many students or even faculty members are here. They're all doing what they're here to do, that is, teach and learn. But may I ask those who weren't in class right now, students and faculty, to please stand as well. As I've said, true success is collaborative. We'll need the combined efforts of students, our faculty and staff members, our campus and community leaders, and our alumni. Please give yourselves a rousing hand. You deserve it. Now, some of you have asked, Mary, are you staying? Don't worry, if you ask my family, they will say yes. I know there's a desire for stability, and I understand why you ask. Hopefully, my remarks are making clear how I feel about you and our potential. But just to clear up any doubts, I'm not going anywhere. We are here for the long haul. I want to publicly commend Sue Martin for the wonderful job she did last year as your interim president. Make it loud enough so she can hear you in Michigan. That she couldn't hear in Michigan. One more time. Sue was transparent. She asked the right questions. She created room for honest dialogue, and she opened doors to the campus and community that some sensed had been closed for a while. And in typical academic small world fashion, Sue was also Dennis's provost in his final years as a faculty member at the University of Michigan, Dearborn, so we go back. Thanks to her wise stewardship and your collective good work, I believe we are ready to move forward with confidence. My question to you is, are you ready? Ensuring student success requires that we tell our story and inspire others to want to help us. We have an amazing story to tell. Take a moment today or whenever you can to look at the amazing storytelling throughout this student union and all over our campus. It's part of a strategic image-building effort that began a few years ago. It's great work, and it's exciting to see. Many of you have told me that you'd like to see our story shared throughout the city of San Jose, across the Silicon Valley, and well beyond. So do I. San Jose is Silicon Valley's public university. I'm going to say it again. San Jose is Silicon Valley's public university. That means something. Through strategic investments, partnerships, and aggressive outreach, we ought to be seen everywhere. And with your help, we will. So let's look ahead. Will things change just for the sake of change? No. Will changes occur without collaboration or communication? No. But based on what I've heard, I think our campus community is ready for smart, strategic change. Steve Jobs said, "For years I've looked in the mirror and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to do today?" And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. Some of you have told me that you know we need to change some things. I'm sure that's true. The same could be said about any university, and I'm inspired to see an openness among you to doing some things differently. San Jose State's current 5-year strategic plan, adopted in 2012, expires next year. As it winds down, we'll also begin imagining how to develop a new strategic plan. Here's what true strategic planning looks like to me. First, it is inclusive. Active involvement of campus stakeholders should be a given. There's a role for our alumni and the community too. And so our partnership with the Academic Senate here is critical in ensuring that that input is wide and broad. Second, it takes the long view. 10 years makes more sense to me than 5. Third, it demands patience. I think I'm patient. Perhaps you'll disagree. You don't know me well enough yet. Then you will disagree. But seriously, we shouldn't and we won't rush through a planning exercise just so we can say we've done it. And fourth, strategic planning should stretch us to imagine what's possible, not just what's practical. The plan we create should help us transform, not just transact. So let me end with a few thoughts about the future. Steve Jobs' biographer, Walter Isaacson, wrote that Jobs believed the sciences and humanities were inextricably linked. Describing Jobs, he wrote, "No one else in our era could better firewire together poetry and processors in a way that jolted innovation." Isaacson also pointed out that Jobs believed in simplicity and seamless integration. Are there lessons in those insights for us? San Jose State provides more engineers to Silicon Valley than any other university. Can we be the university that supplies the Valley's smartest and this is important, most socially conscious engineers? We are already committed to enhancing student success and significantly improving 4- and 6-year graduation rates over the next decade. Can we fully integrate how we serve students so that we seamlessly support them from the day they're admitted through the day they graduate and land their first job? And given all the ways San Jose State is already integrated into the community at the grassroots, can we be known as the nation's preeminent metropolitan public university? I think so. You're not sure. You gotta believe. You've gotta believe. At the August 1st track and field announcement, Dr. Harry Edwards, Tommy Smith, John Carlos, and Lee Evans sat in this ballroom reflecting on the 1968 Mexico City Olympics and the controversial medal stand that helped fuel a global human rights movement. 12 years later, at the 1980 Winter Olympics, the U.S. men's hockey team upset the favored Soviet Union in the semifinals. As the clock wound down to 0, play-by-play announcer Al Michaels exclaimed, "Do you believe in miracles?" That game will forever be known as the Miracle on Ice. And perhaps it was a miracle, but I'd like to think it taught us that when members of a team set their sights, their hearts, and their minds on a common goal, anything is possible. I'd like us to believe that at San Jose State, anything is in fact possible. That is our legacy, after all. Earlier, I mentioned the amazing stories of Spartans that are displayed in this building, like acclaimed author Amy Tan, and Native American U.S. Senator and U.S. Olympian Ben Nighthorse Campbell, and LPGA champion golfer Julie Inkster, and Intel CEO Brian Kurzanich, and Pro Football Hall of Fame coach Bill Walsh, and County Supervisor Ken Yeager, and, notably, SJSU alumna Maricela Castro. In 2012, Maricela and fellow students, guided by sociology professor Scott Myers-Lipton, helped pass a ballot measure raising the local minimum wage. Maricela isn't as famous as some of her fellow Spartans, not yet, but she, like the others, did something many thought was impossible. That is also my mother's story. A child of an immigrant family, she went on to excel as an undergraduate and graduate student at UCLA. Later, she taught English literature and history for over 25 years at a small Armenian high school in Southern California. After retirement, she and my dad worked tirelessly to honor the victims and descendants of the Armenian genocide. My mom passed away in February on Valentine's Day, just days after learning I was coming home to California and to San Jose State. Many of her former students showed up at her memorial service, and together we celebrated a life well lived. I've been thinking about my mom as I begin my work here. She helped prepare her students for lives of purpose. She enriched her community through selfless service, and she accomplished things that some never imagined possible. Working together, so can we. Here's to a great year. Thank you, and go Spartans. Thank you.
So we were talking about the importance of social justice, human rights, and gender and racial equity. What can we do as a campus to make that a priority within all the colleges and all the departments and divisions?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, after we completed that announcement of the track and field event, and we had that extraordinary panel with our former Spartans, which really talked more about social justice and equity issues and human rights than it did about athletics, we came back actually to the cabinet, and we began to talk about how this needs to be a conversation throughout our campus all year. And so one of the things that we will be looking to do, working with all of you, and I share this as well with the Academic Senate, that as we look forward to the kind of programming that we're doing, that within our classrooms, outside of our classrooms, that we really look to address issues around human rights and social justice, and that we really address some of the toughest issues. It's easy to talk about it and to give lip service to it. It's another thing to really look at the hard issues and put them out on the table, to listen to tough speakers, to have engagement panels and other things through student affairs, to have our faculty really lead those dialogues with students. And I think we're very fortunate to have Kathy Wong with us as our new Chief Diversity Officer, whose expertise is in communication and really talking about the hardest issues that are out there. So working together, we will be developing a series of programs all year that really engage these issues. And we'll need all of you to help us do that.
Hello, my name is Preston Rudy. I'm a sociologist and I'm president of the California Faculty Association. I'd like to join everybody else in welcoming you on behalf of CFA. We have a very important election coming up this year in which the public funding for San Jose State and the other CSUs is on the ballot, Proposition 55, and we hope you dedicate yourself just as we are to passing that so that this public institution gets the public funding it needs. Secondly, I appreciate all of your comments about the faculty and the importance of the faculty and the heavy lift we all have to make sure our students graduate on time, and that requires protecting the working conditions for the faculty, which actually make it possible for the classroom and the office hours and everything else to be the most fruitful for both sides in that, and to make this the kind of institution that really basks in the glory of the Silicon Valley and makes us the powerhouse that you were speaking of. So I look forward to working with you to make sure that that happens on this campus, and thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you, and I appreciate that very much. I do want to just make one comment about the first comment, which wasn't a question. Absolutely, we're all going to be working very hard to ensure that that funding comes through. It will be very much focused on student success. That is the purpose of it. But we actually have another interest as well. That's one-time funding. I think the goal has to be to translate that one-time funding into base funding and permanent funding. And ultimately, that's where we have to be. So, yes.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome you, too.
Thank you.
And I like your idea of inclusion. But the question is, what are you going to do with the basic caste system that's part of an academic institution, where you have the tenured faculty and tenured track faculty, and you have the adjunct people, who count as a percentage of a person?
Yeah, you know, my brother spent quite a number of years as a frequent flyer down in Southern California. It's many of our part-time faculty who can't be here all the time are some of our most extraordinary faculty. So the contributions that all of you make to our students and to the campus is critical. It's a tough issue. It's a tough issue, but I would say this: let's keep the lines of communication open. Let's hear from you. Let's hear your issues so that we can ensure that we are engaging all of our faculty as fully as possible and addressing your needs as well. That's in all of our interest. Thank you all for joining us here today.